Welcome to a special matinee edition of Club Top Shot. Push the show up so we could get our friend Andy back on the airwaves as he broadcasts live from Barcelona. We're going to check in with him on his trip to Spain, on the current happenings in the NFT market, all of that good stuff today on CTS. Andy, welcome back to the show. What is it? Has it been 6 weeks, 2 months? It's been a while.
It's been a long time. Yeah, because I've been in Europe since June 28th,
Wow.
basically.
That's incredible.
And so, yeah, it's been a really long time. That's what happens when you have nowhere to live. So,
Yeah, exactly. And so, but if you're going to get displaced from your home, there are worse places to land on your feet than in Spain.
yeah, no, it's been really fun. I had been in Spain for literally like 24 hours once prior in Madrid. And so we spent the first month in Madrid, and I really enjoyed it outside of the heat wave where it was like 110 degrees for like a week straight. And now we're in Barcelona, and Barcelona is really nice too. It's way cooler here. It's like mid 80s, nice weather. Rains a little bit more, but it's
So
sweet.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Similar to Kevin Durant, there's a lot of people talking on your name, and there's a lot of sources. But you've addressed the media that you are in fact not on vacation. You're just working from somewhere else. What is it like though I know you explained your schedule, but like how much fun and enjoyment do you get to have? Like, is it nice to be working over there as opposed to in Brooklyn?
Yeah, so I definitely like it. Obviously there's like some challenges. Like I'm trying to schedule a call with someone who lives on the West Coast, and there's like 2 hours of the day where it's convenient for either of us to have a call. But for those who are not aware, it's 6 hours ahead of East Coast time. And so I would say for the most part, I think I might like it more, mostly just because it's really nice. I'm pretty bad at focusing. I definitely have at least minor ADD. And so like having a couple hours in the morning where like no one's messaging me, I'm not checking really Twitter or anything because no one's awake is really, really helpful for me, I think, just in general to focus and like get some actual shit done. But then we also are definitely working longer hours because of that. Because we're probably starting to work at like 10 or so. And great, we'll like go get coffee, go to lunch. But we'll probably start working at like 10 or so and try to stay online at least until like 8 or 9, normally like 9, because people eat dinner really late here. So I would say it's been pretty good, but like probably if you averaged out the amount of hours I've been like really actively working here compared to my time in New York, I'm probably working like another hour and a half a day here.
And do you think you would have been able to do it in a bull market? Or do you actually think like you needed a little bit of a calmer period?
It definitely would have been harder. I'd still even feel some FOMO sometimes at like midnight when we're going to bed. And it's like, do I really want to go to sleep? People are having fun on Twitter. I'm shit posting with people. Like, there's something I need to comment on. I want to watch Kobe fight with every NFT influencer on Twitter. The important thing.
I definitely want to get your take on that in a little bit, but piggybacking, even aside from the work stuff, I think the interesting thing for me that I would have a hard time with that duration of like, if you move to Spain for a year, like you just start living a domesticated life. You basically have no choice. 2 months is like on that fringe where you can still talk yourself into like, I'm on vacation. Let's go drink. Let's go party. I'm not going to the gym. How much of your like normal life are you still trying to weave in here?
Yeah. So we have started cooking lunches and like making lunch in the apartment, which has been nice. And I will say like we are really fortunate. The long-term stays that we've had, we found this great site. I'm not going to tell all of you because I still want to be able to use it for cheap and not have you all book it because it's really
you
good.
don't want to pump the road bags for once.
No, until they let me until they let me invest, I won't tweet about it publicly, but I'll tell you guys in private. But they're like really nice, intended for long-term stay places where the minimum booking time is a month. And so they have like nice Wi-Fi and they're all like full homes with kind of everything you would need. Yeah. But So we've been cooking lunch a little bit more now. I haven't really had the opportunity to do like going to the gym, which has definitely been tough. In Madrid, it's just like I don't think people work out in Madrid. I don't know where gyms were. I don't think I walked past a
I was
single gym the
literally
entire time I
debating
was there.
this with Hallie this weekend over like, do people in Europe work out? Because like they're not eating food with preservatives, they walk everywhere. And I was like, when I went to the gym in Barcelona, like we did go to the gym, but there's less like this idea of heavy weightlifting and the stuff you were doing probably
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah, so in Madrid, that wasn't really an option. In Barcelona, there is a gym nearby that I'm going to try to start going to next week. I just haven't really had time. I've actually been pretty busy with work while I've been out here. So I haven't really had the opportunity to. But outside of that, I mean, we definitely at least have like a glass of wine most nights. But we've been trying to be a little bit better about that. Yeah, it's been definitely been nice. There's currently this like festival going on in the area of Barcelona that we're in, where all like the streets are decorated. It's like a competition between all the different streets to like make the most intense decorations. And so one's like Little Red Riding Hood themed, one's like a huge Chinese dragon. It's like these massive, like the paper mache dragon that these people made is probably 15 feet tall. Like not even kidding. And it's like they're totally insane decorations. And so we've been like doing that at night. That's what we'll walk around and do today after this is over. And you walk around, like a glass of wine's €2 and all the food's super cheap. So it's hard not to imbibe a little bit.
What about for like your work? Because I imagine, I mean, anytime I have to do something on a laptop, I just hate it when I don't have my big monitors, and I'm not even a developer. So like, how are you doing all your work on a little laptop, or did you get a monitor?
Yeah, so I have an iPad that I use as a second monitor, which is helpful a little bit. But for the most part, I've actually gotten pretty used to it. It's definitely weird, and I am excited to have monitors again. But a lot of my job at this point is calls, anyways, and like talking to people and planning stuff and all of that. And so for that, it gets the job done.
So while you were gone, Andy, basically what happened to the show is we used to be a show about Top Shot that then became a show about Top Shot that didn't talk about Top Shot, but talked about NFTs. And now we're a show about Top Shot that doesn't talk about Top Shot or NFTs. We just talk about football and draft teams. So we're excited to get you back, within the titular namesake arena relatively here.
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth, by far the most active Telegram chat I am in right now with all of my NFT friends is the Underdog drafting Telegram chat.
Yeah.
So I think that this has really gone much farther than just this stream, but it's just NFTs at large. I think right now care more about drafting fantasy football teams than they do NFTs.
Same things in the Club GMI. They have their Club MGMI main chat, and then they have the sub thread for gambling and DFS. And I swear the gambling and DFS one is far more active than the main chat at this point.
I mean, it used to be you could mint an NFT for $300, turn it into $500K. Now you can mint a team for $25, turn it into $2 million. People, those grifters are just chasing the next big win.
Well, now you, instead of selling your Moonbird for 38 ETH, you just get fanny packs instead as a consolation prize. Andy, did you claim your Moonbird fanny pack?
No, I did not claim my fanny pack. I don't want it. I'm not doing it.
I think
it's good for the value if it goes unclaimed, and then someone else who can buy the Moonbird from me can claim it. That probably adds an extra $50 or so to the value of my Moonbird. So
Andy, you should change your I know you did bird for a day. You should change it to your Moonbird number and then in parentheses fanny pack unclaimed and see how that goes.
DM me offers.
Yeah. So like what? Yeah. Phyllis said, what's been going on? You mentioned the Kobe stuff. That was the stuff I saw popping up. I would say the central thing was he said NFTs are just altcoins with pictures. I actually didn't see a lot of the pushback. It sounds like he got a shit ton of pushback from NFT people. What is your whole take on this? Because Kobe, obviously super sharp, very well respected within the crypto and NFT streets, although maybe not so much on the NFT side after this.
No, I think the conversation's funny because I think Kobe is right, but also a lot of people who are disagreeing with him were right. So it stemmed from an initial tweet that was put out by one of the partners at Variant, who basically said that in the future, music will be free and like royalties won't be a thing because artists can like fund themselves by selling. Well, they just kind of very vaguely said like fund themselves through Web3, and I think that kind of triggered Kobe because he was like, "What the fuck does that mean? Like, what does it mean to fund yourself through Web3?" And like what that turned into is him saying like through selling music NFTs, and he was basically like, "Why would anyone want to ever buy a music NFT? Like, why is it valuable?" And I think like that then people replied to that, and then he just started talking about like shit talking about a bunch of NFT stuff. Um, I think he's not wrong that most NFTs are basically altcoins with pictures. I think like where I disagreed with him, and I think this might have just been that he was arguing a different thing, was he was just saying like not that many people have like made a lot like a living selling NFTs, and that's just like pretty wrong. Um, and so I don't know if that's just like he doesn't know or he was just being hyperbolic to try to prove his point. Uh, I think that in general, music NFTs are like kind of silly, or at least like people hype them up a lot. But I do think like I personally don't see the difference. If the artist is buying into like say that I care about this, it's no different than like vinyl or selling any other rare collectible. And so to me, it's all like I think that some artists will definitely make a living selling NFTs that don't have any intrinsic value other than being a rare collectible. I don't
Even
see why they wouldn't.
I think even the ones like if you sold an NFT of a song for $1 and that's how you kind of downloaded it and you cut out Spotify, right? Like the numbers are staggering, and it's on YouTube, it's on Spotify. Like it's the top 0.1% of YouTubers who make the money. It's the top 1% of Spotify artists. So if you are in that middle range and you receive a million, 5 million streams, like if 10% of those people actually buy $1 or $3 NFT, they'll end up making way more than they did off of it. So I think he's right in the term of like they're effectively altcoins, but they do. Where I think we get to with them will be utility, but we're definitely not
Mhm.
there yet.
Yeah, and like the utility will be the artist says, "Hey, 5 of the people who own these get to come backstage at the concert
Right.
in their town or whatever." And like it's pretty easy to like somehow to map that to what it would kind of look like. I don't think it takes like that much thinking about it.
Yeah.
Just like at the super surface level, I could get how someone's saying like, "Oh, just monetize through Web3," and be like, "Well, what does that actually mean? Like that's not a real thing."
So what were the I didn't even see a lot of the blowback. Were people calling him like just an idiot? Was it just like ad hominem personal attacks, or was there actually an interesting conversation around this?
I don't think it was really that interesting, to be honest. I think it was just
Yeah.
like people fighting with him. Like Kobe's the type of guy too, where once people start disagreeing with him, he's just going to talk more shit because that's who he is as a person, and it's hilarious. And personally, I'm a fan. But I think he just like very much so doubled down on that. Basically, like NFTs are shitcoins, and there was a lot of people being like, "No, not my NFTs. These ones are good, valuable collectibles." And I think a lot of the pushback from like the larger influencer people were more like, no, there are a lot of like one of one artists and creators who are really well respected and are making a very real living doing this. And like what you're saying is discrediting to them. Um, I didn't like follow too much as far as I don't think anyone had like a super great debate about that. But I do think there's going to be an up only episode soon talking about it, which should be good. Uh, but it was definitely funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also like it's natural too that these conversations happen during these downturns as well, right? Where I was listening to Lou and Tyler talk on the Lucky Trader podcast about how they were noticing like the sentiment shift even after we had a little niche, a little ETH run up, and some NFT projects were doing well, and then we had a pullback earlier this week, and then everyone's mad at each other, everyone's angry. It seems like the NFT community at large is feeling a little restless right now.
Yeah, people just want to fight with each other. Everyone, everyone's bags are down and doesn't make you happier. So that's not too surprising. I've seen this happen with regular crypto many times.
And what about the Ethereum price? It did, it's come up from its, bottom from about a month ago or so when it was down in that like high 13s range. Do you think this is all around bullishness with the merge?
I mean, I think it has to be something about the merge. I think like the larger question is like after the merge, is it going to kind of be like a sell the news thing? And I mean, I certainly don't know. I was lucky enough to get to talk with a very successful like hedge fund manager uh, and get some insight from him kind of about like macro stuff. And it was interesting. He was basically even saying like anyone who tells you they know like the macro outlook over the next couple of years is like totally full of shit because there's just this like total unknown in like what will Putin do that like no one can know. Like he's like, I'm not even sure Putin knows what Putin's gonna do. And so it just creates so much uncertainty that he was basically saying he thinks that the rate hikes will stop relatively soon, which I don't think is like a crazy hot take, but that in any longer medium to long term time horizon, it's really all just like contingent on kind of whatever happens with like Russia and all that craziness.
Yeah. Have you been doing any trading really? Are you just kind of sitting on your hands? Like where are you at with your bags right now?
For the most part, I've just been pretty actively selling NFTs to get more Ethereum. Because I still think like on a somewhat longer time horizon, probably a lot of my NFTs, I'd rather just have Ethereum. Because like the merge actually going through and happening to like on a long enough timeline is pretty bullish, in my opinion. But that's really been the only thing. Otherwise, I'm not smart enough to try to like trade in and out of cash and ETH. Every once in a while, I'll like mess around on DYDX since I'm not in the US, so I can, and lose money. But otherwise, no.
And how are you you're not able to draft underdog stuff over there, right?
I'm not going to max fill. It's really disappointing.
Wow.
I've let a lot of people down, but I didn't appropriately allocate during May and June for the fact that I would not be able to really run any drafts for the months of July and August, and that's really set me back.
If you're a true best ball grinder, you take one flight over, you fill up 100 slow drafts and quick trip back.
I thought about doing that because I did do slow drafts. I did have some when I first came over into Madrid, but the problem is even with the 8 hours, if you sleep for more than 8 hours, odds are you get skipped because of the time zones. And so I was just waking up every day and having it auto drafted. And so it's just like I sure I can set a bunch of like queued up people and stuff, but it's just not as fun. It wasn't as good of an experience, and so I decided I'd rather I'll save some cash for some season like week 2 entries when I'm back in the United States.
So are you just torturing yourself in that Telegram underdog chat?
Oh, it's awful. It's totally awful. Yeah, I'm listening to all these.
You do like
NFL
the weekly ones though a lot.
I really enjoy the weekly.
Like you would be like, oh, I shipped another one. Well, I entered it 400 times, but I did win it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to I'm getting more excited about the meta
changes a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah, my only tweak, and that I would just love to see them add a few more rounds to them so more players got drafted. If they could get that up to like a 10-round thing instead of 6, I think it would be really, really interesting.
10 is so excessive for like a week 6 contest.
I think the weekly is 8, isn't it?
I thought it was 6 people, 6 rounds. Yeah, 36 players drafted.
Okay, yeah, no, I think you're right.
And so it's like it's just the problem is with that thing. It's like when you play in a season or like an ESPN standard league, and it's like everyone has a super team. It's like hard.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like I think it would just get a little bit more interesting if you expanded it a bit.
Would you rather?
Yeah, no, totally.
Would you rather it be like more people, or there's just too much variance between pick 1 and 10 on a week-to-week basis?
I wouldn't mind it. I think anything that simulates kind of more their standard best ball settings could be pretty fun.
I think they could probably do 8 and 8 or like something like that. 8 players, 8 picks.
What about like quarterly best ball tournaments?
They had that.
Well, they do the halfway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing what happens is and this happened with the Superflex stuff too, when there's not a ton of content around something, people's interests just don't really follow it. So the best ball cabal would have to get together and say, hey, we're going to carve out a week to do strategy around this halfway point tournament. But when the DFS chips are flying, it's a little harder to take a break for that. But I'm excited about the weekly ones that Andy was firing at last year a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely clear to me that the timing for like this best ball stuff is so good. Like it's just totally dominating so much of the fantasy conversation, I feel like.
Yeah, it's been very. Someone was asking Jack. First of all, breaking news. So yeah, Adam Schefter just said, with Zach Wilson's knee surgery today now considered a success, and with a team not willing to bring him back until he's fully ready, Jets QB Joe Flacco is in line to start the regular season opener versus his former Ravens team. Jack, how are you processing this news?
It's brutal. I mean, all I wanted was Zach. It's going to be amazing. The week up to it's going to be great for content, as a content play. But twice as brutal because since I've moved to New York, it was like the COVID year, 2 COVID seasons, and the Ravens played the Jets at home, and then the Ravens. We play the Jets and Giants in MetLife, which is super convenient. But I'm not going to this game because it's Texas, Alabama in Austin that weekend. So I'm not going to be there for the return of Joe versus the Ravens. I'm nervous now. Like I think we could lose the game. He's better than Zach Wilson, right?
No, he is not.
In a one game, you don't think Flacco's better than Zach Wilson?
Are we going to do that? Week 1. Or did you just do if the aliens came down and we had to choose between Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco?
I'm saying, all right.
When was the last time Flacco played? I guess he played some last year, right?
He played some last year. Fun fact, I was the only person to draft Joe last year in BBM too. Do you think he now gets drafted? Yes or no? By someone other than me. Because I will be selecting him at some point.
Yeah, no. I mean, Jack, this would be the worst.
Maybe by accident.
Pick. Jack, you drafting, like if you're going to draft the backup quarterback, it better be Malik Willis. It better be Desmond Ridder. It better be someone with upside.
So you think I'll be the only one? Okay, I'm fine with that. So if week 1 was the Super Bowl, though, like I'm not saying aliens coming down, all that. I'm just saying if week 1 was the Super Bowl, who do you think
it would be
them
the country in the nations in the universe's Super Bowl if the aliens did come down? Just to be clear,
I'm just talking about a minor Super Bowl here. Who gives them the best chance to win that one game?
Zach Wilson.
Really?
I think it probably depends. I think it depends how good the aliens are.
Yeah.
If the aliens are better than the Jets, Zach Wilson. If the aliens are worse than the Jets, Joe Flacco.
That's actually a pretty good analysis. But in this world, I mean, the aliens, I mean, if an advanced civilization is able to come back and land on Earth, God knows they are way better at football than us. So I think we need to shoot for upside with Zach Wilson.
You and your upside friends.
Jack,
don't you ever just want a consistent, elite, veteran, handsome quarterback at the helm? Like, Isn't that what you're looking for?
No, I want. Please post one of your teams with Joe Flacco on Twitter. I mean, the ultimate engagement farmer move, Jack. You will. That's a $25 content play right there. If I ever heard one.
I did it last year, but this year there's actually value. Like you're getting points from him. He'll probably light up the Ravens defense.
Exactly. I did want also, speaking of maxing, Alex wants to know how your max entry journey is going, Jack.
So last year I said I would max. You were a little skeptical. I did end up maxing. Obviously, as the head of winning, I'm required by contract to max, not actually, but maybe. And I'm at 63 with 7 slows to fill. So I'm at like 7.
I still have more drafts than you, Jack.
Yeah, so
I'm at like 80.
So when people's like, we're gonna barbell this thing, a ton in June and May, and like a ton towards the end, I was like, okay, and I must have done 20, not really thinking like how a barbell I guess works. But this is my real issue. Slow drafts. I'm like, I hate slow drafts. Like I can't stomach them.
Me too.
So now I have 80 drafts to do, and today's 23 days till week 1. or sorry, till the Thursday night
That's
kickoff.
like 4 hours of drafting a day.
4 hours a day. 4 hours a day. And if you miss a day, like
It's 8 hours a day.
Yeah, you're screwed. No, drafts don't take I have them penciled in like 42 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so what you got to do is enter 2 or 3 drafts at a time and just sit on your computer and just like watch TikTok and do all 3 drafts at once.
That's what I've been doing.
If you are in a draft with Jack, a BBM3 draft, I'm asking you right now to sit on the clock for the entire thing. I need you to chew up all of Jack's time.
Oh, sit on the clock. I thought
sit
you were
on the
being
clock.
nice.
Exactly the opposite. Yeah.
No, please draft quickly. I did add bricks overlays, even though apparently I'm the biggest Fed in the world calling home invasions on Donnie T. But I am multiing now. So yeah, I'm just nervous. Like, I have a pretty clean schedule until like Labor Day. So I should be able to crank them out. Like, I wake up, I do one. I've been doing a bunch at night. I will max. It's just 20 of them will probably be slows towards the end. And I hate slows.
I thought you were going to say 20 of them will probably be pretty bad. And I was going to say, Jack, I bet about 120 of them will be pretty bad.
What structure are we going with these days, by the way?
What structure? Yeah, what structure is in vogue these days? I don't know, Jack. Have you just considered drafting the best players?
That's all I do, because I'm going to win the millie for just top score, because I'm going to have all the best players, but I won't have like a ton of correlation in the playoffs. Now, I've been correlating. But I watched one of your streams and you're talking about like these uniques. So now anytime I make a bad pick, it becomes a unique. Like Mariota in the queue, 76th pick.
Yeah.
Like, that's a unique. Like, I doubt anyone has that.
Yeah, Joe Flacco. No one has that. That's unique. The problem is we're trying to get points that are also unique. You know, you can't take zeros that are unique.
Right.
Okay,
fair enough.
We will keep you guys all posted on Jack's maxing. I'm feeling the heat as well, and I'm at like 107, 108. Trying to do
like 2 a days. Come on, that's easy.
2 a days. Yeah, I mean, I'm a best ball thought leader is literally my job. I mean, if I can't get this done, that's a bad look. Andy, people were asking in the chat. I believe Poker Pro Eric on Twitter asking about you selling Luka Hollow and a Steph Curry Hollow. Is this part of ETH accumulation? Top Shot FUD. What's going on
Barcelona's not cheap. Come on.
This is actually part of house accumulation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, he's probably getting bills and he's like, oh, that costs that? Okay, we'll sell some of these things. Yeah, no, I have a number that I'm getting to selling NFTs, and Top Shot is some of those NFTs. I have certain ones that I would really rather not sell. So basically I've gotten a lot of offers from people who have seen that I'm selling stuff. And they're like, hey, would you like, so those two, for example, Eddie DM'd me and said, hey, would you do these two? Can you send them my way? Because I go and check the offer tab in my Dapper account, and I've got $10 offers on the LeBron 23 moment, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, dude. Once I accepted like one offer that was like legitimate for a couple $1,000s, and I check my offers every single day. I go on Live Token, Live Token's so good for it. Go on there, sort by highest offers, and I'll look at the ones that are legitimate. Once I did accept one and people realized that I would actually accept offers, I got bombarded with offers for my account. But so yeah, Eddie reached out and was like, hey, would you do this for 30K? And I was like, I think I had him listed for like 37.5 or something in total. And I was like, how about meet me in the middle at like 33.5 and we can do it. But there's like other offers that he sent or people sent that I'm saying no to. So I'm not just like trying to fire sell everything that I have by any means. The staff or the Luka? It was combined. It was 33 for both. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a pretty good deal, but also I would like some money. So
I think the thing too is like you're at a bad spot because people are like, oh, Andy's bearish on Top Shot. It just could be when you have a massive fucking bag on the site. It's called rebalancing your portfolio there. Yeah, and that's part of it too. Is like now that everything's drawn down, because there was a long time where Top Shot had been the one thing that drew down, and like ETH and other NFTs were just like ripping.
And Top Shot's been pretty stable for a while. I think it's done pretty well, honestly, compared to everything else that I've had. It's still it's a very large percentage of my portfolio. It's by far the largest NFT collection that I have exposure to. And so just something that I still would like to manage and get down to a reasonable amount. But I by no means am planning to sell all of my Top Shot moments and exit Top Shot by any means.
Have you
definitely
looked into All Day at all?
I haven't. I don't know why. I just don't care about it. I don't know. Is it doing well?
It's actually doing decently well. They just sponsored Good Morning Football, so they got good people
nice.
talking about it. The market's relatively up. They finally released Lamar Jackson moments, which everyone was anticipating. But yeah, I bought
that was huge.
when that Dapper VIP program was out, where it was get 50% in credit back. I bought a couple All Day moments and Top Shot moments. The Top Shot moments have obviously gone down since, but the All Day moments were actually up, and I was like, huh, that's kind of interesting. It feels like there is there's a good community over there, and because All Day started in a decent bear market, the expectation wasn't, okay, we're going to buy these things and they're going to go up crazy. I saw someone who's in the All Day community share his projections on where Justin Fields and the Lamar could go, and it was from 80 to 100, not 80 to 1,000. Everyone was conditioned last February. So I'm not super engaged on it. I still think they don't have everything fully built out. They just got Lamar moments. I would like them to have each player's legendary, rare base, at the minimum. But it seems like they'll queue that up. They're spending a little money. It's interesting.
And I should also say, good reminder for me, Dave Feldman, who is the director of marketing over there for NFL All Day, he's going to come on the show next week. He told me they have a big announcement coming on Thursday this week. I have no idea what that is, but he was excited to come talk to us about it.
The only thing that's been hinted is this Friday, Roham tweeted something, and in the All Day, it's presented by All Day, and then they read a 10-second thing, and it said stay tuned for a pack drop this Friday. Dave kind of responded, so I think that's what people are speculating on. I don't know if another pack drop's the big announcement or what it is, but they have the partnership with Mahomes, so I would imagine there's probably something in that category.
Yeah.
Nice. It's cool to hear that it's doing well, though. That's promising. I feel like they've really generally righted ship to a certain extent. I mean, the fact that over the last, NFTs have just been absolutely slaughtered over the last month or so. And Top Shot has seemingly done better than most of them. So it's a good sign.
I think just the way the NFL schedule works and the cadence of it, I think it lends itself to more these event-based drops, after the week, where NBA is kind of this rolling thing. Obviously, you have your tentpole stuff with All-Star break and the playoffs, but NFL, I think they can really make an event of it. And I've been, really hoping and crossing my fingers that the curation level's high, that the scarcity's high, and that it's these are the best plays from week one. And we've packaged them in a really nice, clean way to where it does feel like a prize of I did land the best moment from this week, as opposed to we're just checking off our boxes, getting our 100 moments out from week 3 or whatever.
If the best play is, Vilas Jones is because we've discussed this in the past, the quality of player, quality of play. Where do you think the middle ground is?
Right. And so to me, if the barrier for a Jamar Chase highlight is definitely going to be lower than the barrier for a Vilas Jones highlight.
Right.
If Vilas Jones, he needs to moss someone or,
right. But wouldn't the idea for Jamar be he's probably going to make a better play?
Yeah. Well, you're never going to get me pushing back on that if they want to be very, very selective with what they use. I would legit rather have them starve the beast and be you know what, guys? There weren't that many good plays for week 2. We'll pack it up and we'll see you next week in pack 3. Make me want it. Make it feel like it's super special. I know that's not maybe a great business model, but how many times have we seen this play out when the supply gets diluted and it doesn't feel special in the moments? People still talk about the LaMelo Ball moment, that first thing. We were talking about that a little last week. I do really think that you need to make these moments feel really cool and unique.
Yeah.
Um,
I wish there was crossover like with the platforms. I think that's what's missing for me a little bit from a social perspective. From like, I really think you take Patrick Mahomes and he was hanging out with basketball players in the offseason. If there was a way to exchange, and that's the new jersey swap, like even if I could trade some of my Top Shot moments to get into All Day like that, you know, coming from, we've got large Top Shot holdings because we were super early. And now I think that's probably a little less of the appeal to someone like Andy. I know it was for me, is like, all right, I'm going to have to buy in at what is effectively the new tops. I would like to trade off of some of my other stuff, not have to sell it and make taxable gains and all that stuff. I just wish they were integrated a little more. But yeah, that the consigliere, I think they mentioned it a couple of weeks ago that UFC's killing it. Like their rewards program is awesome. Like I wish that there was more crossover. But it is nice to see like good decisions seemingly being made time and time again now.
I actually wanted to line up for the UFC one today with Sean O'Malley, I think a curated drop or with his highlights. And it was when I was on stream, so I missed it. But yeah, they do seem to be doing well over there at UFC. Are there any other projects right now, Andy, that are particularly interesting to you or that you're keeping tabs on?
Not really. Let me go. But that's mostly just been because I haven't had that much time to like. I really have not been a super active market participant lately, more than anything. I mean, also like the fourth most volume NFT project now is a Women Ape Yacht Club. So I mean, there's not that much going on.
Yeah.
But I guess one project that I noticed, and I haven't really had the time to spend time looking into, and I don't know if you guys have already talked about this over the last month and a half, but the potatoes NFT,
We brought
What
it
I
up
actually think is like kind of
quickly
interesting.
with Lou last week, but we didn't get into it too much. Talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, so I definitely don't. I'm by no means an expert on it, but it's basically the creator of 9gag, I think it is. I think it's that. I'm looking through the website again. I don't remember. I think it's 9gag. Made this, and it's some new like meme platform thing. I think it was a free launch or a really cheap launch or something. I don't own any. It's something that I'm like keeping an eye on because like I think he probably has a pretty good finger on the pulse of like what you'd want to be doing with kind of memes and NFTs. Yeah, it is from the creator of 9gag.
What was it called again?
The Potatoes, but it ends in a Z, not an S. It's pretty consistently been one of the top volume NFT projects over the last like 2 months.
Oh yeah, we did pull this one up with Lou last week. Yeah, 1.24 floor here. Yeah, it's so what what are they doing that makes them feel like they stand out a little bit?
How does that have a
So it's from the creator of 9gag. I believe this is like essentially 9gag's thing in NFTs.
Yeah.
And so I think there is generally the potatoes evolve, and so like they're going to reveal eventually to something else. But I think generally this is people's play into whatever meme land is, which is 9gag's like meme NFT thing, and just like a general bet that 9gag will do a good job with NFTs and memes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had Lou mentioned this a little bit last week. I had not poked around on it. I've definitely been sitting on my hands. I haven't fired at an NFT in ages here, but looks pretty trippy. I like the rainbow the rainbow slide here.
Yeah.
Jack, what's going on in your NFT verse?
Only NFTs I've bought are a bunch of Top Shot moments. I was buying all the Lamars. I got think I got like 15 or so. But I saw the Justin Tucker moment. That to me was like the perfect example, I guess, is like that's a historic play for my team. It was $200. There's only 900 of them. Will it go up in value? I don't really care that much, but it was like, that's something super cool to own. That's how I felt about the Steph moment on Top Shot when he broke the 3-point record,
Yeah.
but that was like $2,500. But the JT one's cool. Like it's an NFL record, game-winning kick. I was watching the game. I had a water bottle like this. Most people, unless you're a Lions or Ravens fan, you don't remember. Lamar took a delay of game with like right before the play, and the refs didn't call it, and they just threw the ball out of bounds, and it would have made it a 71-yard kick, and they wouldn't have been able to kick it. So I threw my water bottle because we were losing the fucking Lions. I was already so upset, and so the kick is, I mean, it's a legendary kick. He's the greatest kicker of all time. And for $200, I was like, that's a cool moment to own. There's a bunch of angles on it as well. So it's not just that one. So I bought that in between. I'm up $11. So I'm an elite trader while you've been gone, Andy. But yeah, that's really all I've purchased. Obviously working on nights. We got a bunch of fantasy stuff we're doing with nights in the fall. So super pumped on that. But other NFTs, I've been, just watching the punks market because I think it's interesting. They got close to flipping apes. Then apes kind of made a little runaway. We talked about this last week, but I'm curious what Andy thinks. The thought process was kind of like, if Yuga never bought punks, like where are punks versus apes today? I am still very much team punks. I always was, but now it feels like in a bear market they're even stronger.
Yeah, I don't really know. I think it probably would depend on Larva Labs. No shit, I don't know, I guess, but it probably would depend on Larva Labs. And like, I think that they were not only not doing right by punks, but like they were actively hurting punks in the way that they were acting. So if it was just like they got sold to some private third party, no one really knew, and they gave away the punks rights the same way Yuga did, I think they probably would be a little bit lower than they are now. I think there is some amount of Yuga value there, but I do think that there also is like some amount that Bored Apes are propped up a little bit by also Yuga owning the punks IP. I think there's like a little bit of kind of owning all of this is good for everything. It's really good for Yuga's shareholders, but it's a little bit good for all the NFT owners.
Were you, we talked about it a little last week. Were you intrigued by the Tiffany's Punks collab at all?
Yeah, I thought about getting one because it would be cool, but it was just too much money to justify. Like, I would never wear that. It would just sit somewhere, and it's a cool memento of like, I don't know, like an interesting period of time, but it was pretty hard to justify, like, especially like literally as I was thinking about it, it's like, okay, I'm selling a lot of Top Shot moments that I like and other NFTs that I like to get more Ethereum and cash, and like, am I really going to spend 30 ETH on a pendant? Like,
yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I heard Bales got one.
Did he?
I think Jennings was talking about it, but I don't think he got one. But yeah, that was definitely interesting. Yeah, what do you think is next for Bored Apes and Yuga, where they're kind of, they fired so hard there over a continuous period of time, and it's like, well, what do they do next?
well, I think the big thing for them is really just this game that people play tested a little bit. I'm not going to hold my breath for it, even though people play tested it, and I think it went decently well. There's a big difference between that and actually having a game people like and want to play. But it really feels like that's kind of just the next thing, right, for them.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have the next other side drop, I think, is supposed to be coming up, but I wouldn't be surprised if they even held off on doing that with the current market. I mean, like, are they really going to sell another $100 million worth of other side land? I don't think so. So I think they'll probably hold off on that if I had to guess. But
yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird time in NFTs right now where it feels like I don't know what kind of project would want to be like what projects would want to be launching or announcing right now, just because there's so much uncertainty in the market between like people really want ETH for the merge, people are overall bearish or concerned about just like market sentiment. It'd be a weird time to be kind of shipping consumer products like that.
I know you had the tweet about the Grails project. What's going on with that one, and why do you find it interesting?
Yeah, so Grails is really cool. It's by the Proof Collective team. I don't own Proof Pass or I have the one Vinberg, but I don't really have very much stake in that whole ecosystem. But the idea is basically they get a bunch of artists together, and all the artists make their artwork, and they list them all, and you can mint whichever one you want with your Grail Pass. I think one gets airdropped to every Proof person, and then you can buy some. I don't really know. I'm not going to participate. I just think it's cool.
Yeah.
And then all of the artists are secret though, and so you don't know. You can tell sometimes, but like they don't tell you who the artist is for each one, and then they'll reveal them after the minting has been finalized. So you have to like. The idea is to get the one that you like the most, not necessarily from the artist you like the most or the artist who you think will pump your bags the most. And so, like for example, if you scroll, so this is the first collection, I think.
Yeah.
And like the Tyler Hobbs one, I don't think people realize that was Tyler Hobbs when they were minting it. And so it's like
right.
Same with like Dimitri from Art Blocks as well, and like the Larva Labs guys. And so it's like kind of fun because like people probably didn't know that some of those things were the people who made them, which is just like cool in general. And so if you go to Grails 2, these are the new ones. So like the 1 second from the left on the top is definitely, I think it's like Gran Yun or something. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but It's an artist who's really grown over the last little bit. Like there's just no way it's not him.
Right.
But a lot of these other ones, people have fun trying to guess and figure out what artists they worked with, and all that kind of stuff.
So you're kind of like detaching the name, which often can be the thing that will, pump an NFT or give it value from like the art itself. Which is interesting too, because like you said, some of these artists have such distinct styles. I'm sure people can figure it out, but then maybe you get a head fake and you get a really good one from someone you didn't realize.
Yeah, and then there's also like this bit of game theory with it too, where it's like you probably want one of the rarer ones, generally. So like everyone knows which one is Grant's, and it has a lot of mints. But like maybe you don't want the one that has the most supply because everyone knows that artist and likes that artist, and you want to take a flyer, like you were saying, on a random one that you think looks cool that maybe isn't quite as popular in the mint. It's like a pretty fun game, and it's a cool way to just like showcase artwork and get people excited.
Is it a free mint?
I think no. So the mint pass, I think it's distributed to proof holders, and then also some amount of Moonbirds, I think, have like a Grail attribute. I think they also got free mint passes, and then they sold the rest, I think, or that was all they airdropped. So it was free to claim, but now I think the floor for a mint pass is like 3 ETH or something, 3.5 ETH.
I'm trying to think of ways that like this type of concept could be replicated, maybe even in like the Top Shot and All Day universe. I guess it'd be harder because the plays would be the plays themselves, but maybe something where you obscured the total that had been selected. And so then kind of the mint count or the supply of it was more of a
That's what I was
game.
gonna say. Yeah. Like if they said we're releasing the Curry moment, but it's unlimited mint, but we're releasing, some other plays. Like, would you rather own Klay Thompson to 25 or a Curry to 10,000? Like, I think a lot of people would do the Klay. So it's like, what's that balance?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can even do something where you like say the game that the moment is from, or like the team, but not the actual moment itself. And so it's like, okay, do you want the Lakers moment or the Suns moment or the Warriors moment? But you don't know that it's
LeBron. Top
LeBron.
Shot once is like 1,000 people do it, and then they curate Taylor Horton Tucker, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
And then everyone rages on them in Discord for a week.
I had heard of this. I didn't know the exact mechanics of that, but it is anything that like gamifies it. This is kind of like the art version of almost a pack opening, in a way where you're trying to see what you get. I think that's a pretty fun idea.
By the way, Top Shot just did RSVP drops. They literally just announced it. I think it's just you say you want a pack and it buys it for you, which thank God, because I got in the all day pack line, got a pack, and then missed my pack buying. And I feel like if you commit to the queue, that like you should automatically get the pack. You shouldn't have to wait it out also. So I'm pretty excited. They're testing it seems, on like just a $9, anyone can get pack. But I think it's a pretty cool concept that we've been asking for a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that too, because today I was like, I wanted to try to get that Sean O'Malley UFC strike thing. And I went to the page, and sometimes the sites, and this goes back to your point about not having like consistency across the platforms, it didn't have the Google Cal integration. And when it has the Google Cal integration, I'll add it right away, set up a little alert, and then I won't forget. But I wasn't going to go manually put Sean O'Malley NFT on my calendar, so that I forgot about it. But like something like this, where I could RSVP and just buy my pack ahead of time, like would be so welcomed.
I don't see why there doesn't need to be, like, why you wouldn't do this for every pack drop. Like, I'm fine if you still want to queue people by tier, and like you want to entice people to be strong collectors and all that. But like, if I have the funds in my account, holy crap, that person's got a great Dapper balance. Can you find out their username? I'd love to get in touch about selling some.
You're trying to get liquid. Yeah.
But yeah, like, why not? So someone did. I was talking to someone who got into Top Shot during the run and everything, and like has some interest in all day. And what they did say was like the tiered pack drops have really kind of turned them off from ever trying to be in that world. So I think that's something that's kind of interesting to think about. Maybe repealing. I know that's going to obviously piss off a lot of people who have built their accounts with collector score and all that. But I think the reason they did that in the first place was to limit flippers, right? And there aren't as many flippers nowadays, especially because the flip isn't as fruitful and you don't know what you're going to get in those packs. I would like any user, big or small, to come on. Like, if they're going to use Magic Johnson and his personality to market the product, and you're like, oh, crap, I collect cards, I have a huge collection, Magic was my favorite player, but I won't be able to get a pack. I can only buy it off secondary. That's a pretty big turnoff for a lot of people, as opposed to, I would love to line up, and then you kind of hit them with the FOMO. They don't get it. Okay, now I want to buy that, as opposed to figuring out all the chaotic rules of Top Shot. I think it would be beneficial to at least consider, opening it back up.
And it's interesting how human psychology works, where I was mentioning how I would line up for that O'Malley pack, and yet if you told me I could go buy those moments for the exact same price in the marketplace a la carte, like I'm not doing it. Where it's like there is something about just the pack being the draw, and it makes sense, right? Make it as easy for people to get packs. Like the fact that I was too lazy to put it on my calendar, but literally would have if they had that Google integration, like, is a good thing of just like, you have to reach people and make it as easy for them as possible.
We're the TikTok generation. Andy said he's drafting 3 underdog teams. He's drinking sangria and watching TikTok all at the same time. You don't have time to create like your own calendar invites. The consigliere said, I like the tier drops. I'm fine with that. And I'm normally in the tier that gets into the drop, so I see why it's beneficial. I would just like a counter as to saying, like, for the general population, why are tier drops better given the state of Top Shot and all the platforms?
You said we're in the TikTok generation. Are we in the YouTube Shorts generation, Jack? Will you tell me how you did this, and how do I add 21,000 subscribers to my channel? Do I have to like take pictures of my wife sleeping all day. Is that what your secret?
We're actually, we just crossed 60,000 this
You're
morning.
crushing it.
It's funny, and this is a little teaser, potentially TBD, because he's got a lot going on, so do I, but potentially going to be doing a podcast with Nick Ercolano on kind of like the creator, and I think all of us are going to be creators in some form. Like Andy has a unique world as a creator of like how it develops business for him in building what he's doing.
You actually might have an announcement there tomorrow as well for those who are on Twitter tomorrow.
Okay. All right. So, but that's the point, is like, that's your new PR. Originally, a lot of people have to hire PR, right? If they want to do a bit. So we want to talk on that. I kind of know we've figured out how to game the system on YouTube Shorts. Those followers, though, those subscribers right now they're effectively just a vanity metric. Like, I don't get paid on the viewership. I don't get paid on the subscribers. To date, like, our live stuff hasn't seen like a major crossover. And I've seen that with other people. So it's like the quality of the follower. And like during the NFT bull run, like Andy probably could have minted out an entire collection by himself, right? And so like, even if he had 10,000 Twitter followers, that's 1,000 times more valuable than the 50,000 YouTube subscribers we've added. And similar to you, Pete, right? Like, you've got a hyper engaged fantasy audience, and you're marketing a fantasy and a betting platform. That's gonna convert at a much higher clip. So I just think like those conversations are important. With that being said, definitely get posting to Shorts. Like, Shorts are, anytime a social media platform is going to push a new feature, they're going to push the hell out of it. I think that's a major proof point. But you don't want to like get outside. Like, you should do fantasy stuff, right? Like, I could send you the content we're posting. It's like LaMelo Ball funny videos, and like it works for us on the general sports category. But those followers wouldn't mean anything to you. But it's just I think to me, this stuff is so interesting. So I'm happy you brought it up.
And it is interesting because I remember hearing Nick talk about it too, where I think early on, and it sounds like this has changed. I know early on he was crushing on the Shorts views, but they weren't converting to subs. But now it seems like they're converting to subs. They
convert to subs, but maybe not viewership. Meanwhile, I think a perfect example is like, if you guys have seen what Nick's done on TikTok, they just started up this random content series called, Ike's Lunch, and their guests
that smashes.
Yeah, it's smashing. It's 1 million views per, but like they gain 500,000 followers on TikTok, right? And everyone just thinks they guess lunch for a living. So as he's starting to do fantasy content, it's like, what's the crossover? And you can actually start to introduce, right? Like, more followers is beneficial because any part of the drip over to the content you care about is good. But it's just always like, do you stay in that niche? Do you get outside of it to grow? Like, Andy shit posting IRL would smash. I agree.
There you go.
I like, it's something we've like actually thought about, is like how we can be more active in like the video social media world with like fractional stuff. And I just like am so not tuned in to what that would look like for me, that we haven't been able to figure anything out yet. But Deez and I have been talking about it, but we have some ideas.
Yeah, well, I mean, we do a show through Snapback called Illiquid, and it's a 3-minute show on Snap, 3 segments. I get kind of posted across platforms. That is about Web3, NFTs, money, crypto, all that stuff. And it's like that. There's Twitter for threads and tweeting thoughts, and like TikTok, YouTube is just like those thoughts with video content that's edited, and it does really well.
Yeah, and even the ones I've been making for the Fantasy Life TikTok have been absolutely smashing. And it's just like, it's funny because it's not like the most interesting content to me. It's like same with your stuff that you're reposting. It's like a little formulaic. You know how to poke the buttons. It's why I don't do it full time myself. But
you'll burn the fuck out. But it's like that sacrifice of, okay, am I going, like, this is what the platform is telling me I have to do.
Right.
And there's only so many people who are so powerful that no matter what they post is going to perform. But like, if you're on Instagram, and you were posting pictures, like you have to post reels. It's the only content that's showing up anywhere. It's very interesting.
And so are
Yeah,
you able to monetize like those TikTok things, or is it purely just top of the funnel, get more people to the places where you do monetize?
Top of funnel. But like I tweeted back to someone today, like for now, right? Like obviously those platforms are going to monetize at some point.
Soon you're going to be able to monetize through Web3 as a creator.
Exactly.
Pretty soon there'll be a direct button instead of a share button that says mint this as an NFT, limited time only. It was funny. I remember when I had my NFT Bros video in the fall, I had one guy reach out to me and he's like, I want to buy this as an NFT. And he's like, are you going to would you consider doing an auction or anything? I was like, I hadn't really considered it. And he followed up with me again. He was like, well, like how much to mint this? And I was like, okay, I'll mint it. And then I went back to him and he never followed back up with me. So I was like, yeah, I don't think there's a market for it. But that was also like,
he had some clarity.
He got some clarity and he's like, oh, maybe I don't. Once I told him there was no other interest for this, I think maybe he realized. But who knows? Well, I know you guys got to run. Andy, you have a 9-course paella dinner on tap.
Last question is, what do you think about tapas? What do you think about jamon? What do you think about sangria? And when are you going to Opium?
All right. I ride hard for tapas. We had tapas last night. We're having tapas tonight. We've been doing a bit of a generally eat like pretty cheap most nights and then go out to like a really nice dinner. So we've had a couple like really amazing Michelin star dinners over our time here, which has been awesome. Really, really cool. Wait, what was the second question? Oh, jamon. I fuck with jamon. Okay. Yesterday we had a great pan con tomate with some jamon and some really nice, like I think it was peppers and eggplant cooked with oil and some anchovies and stuff. It's really good. Sangria. I haven't been drinking that much sangria. I've been drinking a lot of Verdejo white wine. That's been my go-to. Really nice, crisp white wine. And then I will probably never go to Opium. I don't really go to clubs. It's not my thing.
You got to go once. It's a content play. And you can write it off as a content play.
Have you been to the Black Sheep Beer Hall? I think there's 2 of those locations.
I have not. No.
Have you been
definitely?
Anyone to the beach though, right? Where Opium is? Yeah. Okay.
Anyone who has recommendations of places to go in Barcelona, shoot me a DM. We went for like a weekend when we were in Madrid, and I had like some random dude DM me on Twitter and like recommend a bunch of places, and we went and it was like awesome. So
I was gonna say I can send you like the least cultured abroad kid like guide where it will be fantastic. You'll have a lot of fun, but like get zero culture. And now that the season started, you should go to Camp Nou. You should go to a Barcelona game if you have time.
Yeah,
highly recommend.
See what I can do. I actually have one of my friends who's coming is like a hardcore soccer fan who will be here like late August. So maybe we can make it happen.
There you go.
Well, Andy, it was great getting to chop it up with you today. Sounds like you guys are having a great time. Thank you, chat, for hanging out with us at our abnormal time here. Like I said, we'll be back next week at our normal time. Dave Feldman will be swinging by. We'll be, in the throes of NFL preseason by then, and will be fun to talk to him. So if you guys have questions for Dave or about NFL all day stuff, feel free to drop them to our Twitter at Club Top Shot or in the Discord. That would be great. Jack, any other final things on your end before we get out of here?
We'll have some fun announcements hopefully next week about NFL season, some underdog stuff. I got to get on the grind though. 4 days. That's my deal.
4 days. Maxing season is here. Post your screenshots and tag Andy so he can live vicariously through all your drafting fun. I'm sure he would love that and not be triggered by that at all.
Oh yeah, not in the least bit.
For Andy, our Barcelona boy. For Jack, I'm Pete. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.